Okay. So, when I'm juggling the kids and the dogs, Bella, Dolly does not understand what are kid toys and what are not her toys. That's a kid toy she has. Dolly! Dolly! She's playing keep away. Let me see if I can get that. Where's the rope toy? Dolly! Get it, get it, get it, get it. I might have to run and buy some toys. Good girl, Dolly. Good girl. Good girl. So she grabbed a kid toy, which I will now pick up. I distracted her off onto the rope toy, which she is now playing with. Good girl. Dogs that come into the house, especially puppies, but any dog that comes into the house has to learn the difference between what is a kid toy and what is a dog toy. Anyway, what I was going to say prior to that was I try to, when I'm juggling kids and dogs, I try to kind of balance out the schedule, especially with a little one. You know, I have a 9-month-old. I'm going to turn off the TV now. Okay, Kira? And so, you know, I need to kind of balance, you know, like for example, right now she's taking her morning nap. I pushed it back kind of late because Bella hasn't got here yet, and I would like to take Bella in the backyard to intro her to everybody and let them play before Rory wakes up. Because right now, because of Rory's size, Kira, she's 3, just turned 3. She's big enough to where even if the dogs get kind of hyper, I can tell her to, you know, move out of the way. I can distract her with cartoons or do something on the computer with her. I can get her to sit, you know, I can keep her out of the fray by instruction. And also, if she gets knocked over, you know, because everybody is playing, if she's strong, you know, pretty strong, it's not going to hurt her bad. She might fuss a little bit, but it's not going to hurt her. Whereas a 9-month-old can't get knocked about by dogs playing. Now, on that note, so Dolly just ran and jumped up on Kira, and I was correcting that. Good girl, Dolly. Good girl. Good girl. Good girl. So hard to video. Do stuff at the same time. They're like playing in the boppy that we usually use for Rory. That's so funny. In a normal household with multiple dogs and kids, actually, and with my own dogs, Quinlan and Lily, the rule is that there's no hyperplay in the house. The only time it's appropriate for them to get hyperactive is in the backyard. That's when they're allowed to wrestle around. However, being that I do in-home boarding and in-home daycare, and sometimes the weather isn't permitting, and because the part of the purpose of the dogs coming here so that they can play and get tired, I really, I do allow these dogs to wrestle and play in the house. And so because I allow these particular dogs, when I have boarding and or in-home daycare dogs, I have to, good girl, good girl. So she was going to eat the little pretend baby. Dolly. Kitty. Trying to get her interested in that rope toy again. Good girl. I don't have a whole lot of toys because the dogs always shred them. I think I'm going to have to go buy some for Dolly's sake because there needs to be many. She needs many choices of alternatives to the kids' toys to play with. And when there's only a rope toy and a few, you know, bones, then that's not really conducive to setting her up for success. So yeah, in repetition, in a normal multi-dog home with kids, I would highly recommend not allowing rough play and wrestling in the house. That's just not a rule. And if the dogs start to do it, you correct them, try to get them interested in chewing a bone, and if they don't listen, then they get a timeout. Then they can, after timeout, they can come back out and try again, or put them in the backyard, and you know, because maybe they feel like being hyper, and so they might run around in the backyard and do some wrestling. It's a great idea if you're trying to train this. Go out with the dogs, get them hyped up, let them play, praise them in that environment and in that situation. Tell them it's okay to wrestle and play there, and then bring them back in the house when they're tired, and then they will be obeying the rule. A common mistake if someone were trying to train this would just be to get onto them for getting hyper in the house and then just stick them in the backyard, to which some dogs would just kind of stand there looking at the back door like, okay, what are we supposed to do now? So if you got them, if you're training it and you got them outside and got them hyper, then and playing and praise them, then you're not only showing them what they're not supposed to do, but you're showing them what you are supposed to do. Dolly is still Kira, calm it down. So see, I'm having to instruct Kira on how to interact with Dolly. Dolly is a little overwhelmed by what Kira's doing. She's not sure how to respond to that. And, I mean, it's understandable. Kids and dogs play very differently. You know, Dolly wants to jump up and mouth, and Kira wants to chase, which dogs love chase, but she doesn't want the dog jumping up and mouthing. Right, Dolly? So when Dolly's getting used to the kids, and so when she gets a little overwhelmed and kind of goes into a corner like that, and I love that she's being submissive and sweet, and she's just kind of saying, oh, you know, she's not growling or freaking out. But when she's giving me those signals, I tell Kira to back off and try to instruct Kira on how to, don't eat that, don't put that in your mouth. I try to instruct Kira on the appropriate way to play with, but she's a little height challenged when it comes to getting into the dog toy bin. Sometimes she gets her whole, there she got one out. Sometimes she gets her whole body in there. Now her mom said sometimes that they will growl over a bone at each other. No! Kira, don't yell. Nobody was doing anything wrong yet. Here, Dolly, you want this bone? Why don't you get that bone? I was actually keeping my eye out for that to occur.
Dolly.
I gave Dolly her own bone. Oh, nope. Is that Bella? Dolly. All right, I may stop for just a little bit.